I didn't bring the war home with me. The war followed me home on its own. It waited in quiet rooms, in family dinners that ended too soon, in the way people thanked me without ever asking what it cost. They said the uniform came off. They were wrong. Some things don't. The day I came back, there was no parade. No brass band. Just my father standing at the edge of the driveway, hands in his pockets, eyes searching my face like he was trying to recognize a stranger. My mother cried, quietly, like she didn't want to scare me. My younger brother hugged me too hard, like he was afraid I might disappear again if he let go. Everyone kept saying the same thing. You're home now. But home felt smaller than I remembered. The walls closed in at night. Silence wasn't peaceful anymore, it was loud. I slept on top of the covers, boots beside the bed for weeks, even though there was nowhere to go. When fireworks cracked in the distance, my hands moved before my mind did. I tried to be normal. That's what everyone wanted. Normal dinners, normal conversations, normal future plans. They asked about college, jobs, settling down. Nobody asked about the guy who didn't make it back, or the decisions that still replayed themselves when I closed my eyes. My father and I started circling each other like cautious animals. He was proud, I could tell, but pride didn't teach him how to talk to me anymore. Every disagreement turned sharp. He wanted me to move on. I wanted him to stop pretending this was something you could just pack away. One night it finally broke. He told me I was angry all the time. I told him he had no idea what anger was. The words landed wrong. He stood up so fast his chair fell over. For a moment, I saw fear in his eyes, not of me, but for me. And that scared me more than anything. I walked out before I said something I couldn't take back. I ended up driving with no destination, stopping at a gas station just before dawn. An older man was there, leaning against a pickup truck with a unit sticker faded almost beyond recognition. He nodded at me, looked at my posture, my eyes. "You served," he said. Not a question. I nodded. "Yeah," he said quietly. "Me too. Long time ago. We didn't talk much. Didn't need to." When I left, he said something that stuck. "Coming home is harder than leaving. Nobody tells you that." I started working security after that. Night shifts. Quiet places. It felt right, watching, waiting, keeping things from going wrong. My mother worried. My father disapproved. My brother said nothing but started calling me more often, just to check in. Then the call came. My father collapsed at work. Heart attack. Survived, but barely. When I walked into the hospital room, he looked smaller than I'd ever seen him. Tubes everywhere. Machines doing work his body couldn't. He opened his eyes when I stepped closer. "I didn't know how to help you," he said. No anger. No pride. Just truth. I sat there for hours. Didn't talk much. Just stayed. For the first time since I got back, staying felt like enough. After he recovered, things changed, not suddenly, not cleanly, but honestly. We didn't argue the same way anymore. He listened more. I spoke less, but meant it more. Then my brother got into trouble. Wrong people. Fast money. A fight that went too far. I got the call at 2 a.m. and was at the station before sunrise. He looked terrified, trying not to show it. The officer recognized me. Not from fame, from posture. "You military?" he asked. "Yes, sir." He nodded. Treated my brother differently after that. Not lenient. Just fair. I sat with my brother all night after he was released. Didn't lecture him. Just told him the truth. "Every choice follows you," I said. Some of them were boots. He straightened out after that. Got a job. Started over. He tells people I saved him. I didn't. I just stood where someone once stood for me. Years passed. I still wake up some nights. Still scan rooms. Still measure exits without thinking. But I learned something they never taught us in uniform: strength doesn't always look like endurance. Sometimes it looks like asking for help. Sometimes it looks like staying when leaving would be easier. At a community event for veterans, a young woman came up to me. Her husband had just gotten out. She said he barely spoke. Barely slept. Barely smiled. "What do I do?" she asked. I told her the only honest answer I had. "Don't try to fix him," I said. "Just don't leave." She cried. I stood there, unsure, until she hugged me. When my father passed a few years later, the flag was folded with precision. A young service member handed it to me. Our eyes met. No words. None were needed. At the graveside, my brother stood straight. My mother held my arm. The wind moved quietly through the trees. I realized then that service doesn't end when the uniform comes off. It just changes shape. I thought time would dull things. That memories would soften, blur at the edges, become easier to carry. Instead, they became heavier in different ways. Not sharp like they used to be, just constant, like a weight you learn to balance without ever setting down. After my father's funeral, people kept checking on me. Old neighbors. Former coworkers. Even strangers who recognized the flag case under my arm when I walked out of the cemetery. They all said the same thing. "You're strong." I nodded every time. It was easier than explaining that strength wasn't what kept me standing. Responsibility did. My mother moved into a smaller place. I helped her pack. In the attic, we found boxes my father never talked about, letters, old photos, a journal from his own brief time in uniform decades earlier. He'd never mentioned it. Not once. That night, I read his handwriting until dawn. He had struggled too. Different war. Same silence. Same distance from the people he loved. And the same mistake, thinking he had to carry it alone. It changed how I remembered him. Not as a man who failed to understand me, but as one who never learned how to speak the language of pain. I started volunteering after that. Nothing formal at first. Just showing up at meetings. Listening. Sitting beside men and women who stared at the floor the same way I once did. I never led with advice. Just presence. One night, a young veteran lost control. Shouting. Pacing. The room froze. I stood up slowly, met his eyes, and said his name. He stopped. Later, he told me it was the first time since getting out that someone didn't look at him like a problem to be solved. I kept going. Life stayed quiet. No big promotions. No dramatic moments. Just steady days and occasional setbacks. I never married. Never felt ready. But I wasn't alone either. My brother had kids. They called me uncle with a seriousness that made me smile. I taught them how to fish, how to stay calm when things went wrong. One evening, my nephew asked why I always checked the doors before bed. I thought about lying. Then didn't. Because once, a long time ago, it was my job, I said. Is it still? He asked. I smiled. Not like it used to be. On the anniversary of my return, I visit the same quiet spot outside town. No monument. Just a place where the noise fades. I stand there for a while, hands still, breathing steady. I think about the people who didn't make it back. About the ones who did and are still fighting. About my father, my family, the man at the gas station who understood without asking. The uniform came off. But the service stayed. And I carry it, not loudly, not proudly, just honestly. Because some stories aren't meant to be shouted. They're meant to be remembered.